In this lesson, we're going to learn about widgets and how to add them and remove them to our theme. Before we move on to widgets, I just want to make sure we save our changes just in case something were to happen to our internet connection or something like that. You always want to make sure you're saving frequently as you go along so you don't lose any of the hard working changes you've made. So now our design is published and we can come back over here and continue making our changes, which I want to move on to widgets. And widgets are basically just little customizable areas that you can add and remove to your layout, and they just add different kinds of features and functionality. So let's take a look at these and it'll give us a better idea of what role widgets play in our site. So let's take a look at our theme of how it is by default. We kind of have a single column layout, meaning our content is stretching across the full width of the screen. And if we scroll down, we don't really have anything here at all. We have a little footer here. So we have no widgets currently added to our site. But in that customization screen, once again, I just came down here to this bottom option, the widgets option, we can add some things to our site. And we have 4 different areas we can add our widgets to with this theme. And this is going to vary greatly depending on what theme you're using. So once again, that comes into play about different themes having different options. So we can add things in the sidebar and also footer 1, 2, and 3, which is going to add them at the bottom part of our blog. This bottom area is commonly referred to as a footer on a website. Similar, we have a header up here, we have our footer down here at the foot. So over here, I want to start by adding some things to our sidebar, and in our theme, we'll see it's going to add it here on the right side, but if you're using a different theme, your sidebar might be on the left side. You might have 2 or 3 different sidebars that you can add things to and things like that. So I want to come here to add a widget, and it's going to pull up all the options we have here for adding widgets to our site. You're going to have a title of the widget, and it'll also have a little description of what kind of feature or functionality that widget is adding. So I highly recommend as you're going through here, if you want to add something to your site that you tested out. And it's also really easy to get carried away here, which really distracts from the content of your blog, which is what people are coming to see. So you just want to be careful here and make sure that it's something useful or helpful for your blog. So you can add things like your about.me page, which is a website where you can create kind of a global profile for people to come view. We have all kinds of things here. We can add our statistics if you want to show how many people have visited your blog, which we don't want to add at the start really, because if you don't have very many visitors, it's not going to look very good if no one's looked at your site. You don't want to advertise that to the world. You can add a Facebook like page, but what I want to add is this follow button to encourage people to follow our blog and engage with us. So as I clicked on that, it's going to give us some options for the widget we just added, such as showing our blog name and our follower count, which I'm going to leave that follower count not showing for now. If I had a lot of followers, maybe I could come in and change that later, but for now, I also don't want to advertise the fact that I don't have any followers. So if I click on the sidebar again, it'll hide that so we can see this a bit better. Now we have this little option here to follow our blog. So if I click on that, once again, we can add more widgets to our sidebar area. At the bottom here, we have our visibility, and this is a pretty cool option. So if you want to add a widget or something that you only want you to see, you could also choose to show if author is me. So I can change it to my username, for example. So you can see it's removing it because it's only going to show it when I look at the site. So you certainly have that option. I'm going to delete that because I just want it to show it to everyone. But I think that's a really cool thing you can do with these widgets. So let's click to add another widget, and I want to show my recent posts. So right here, display WordPress posts. You can see in the description it says displays a list of recent posts from another blog. So actually, that's not what I want. I'm going to delete that. I want to show it from my current blog. So there's probably a better widget to choose for that. So if we search here, we'll probably called something like recent. Oh, here we go. Recent post. Your site's most recent post. So I'm going to click to add that. And there we go. That's what we want. It's going to pull in the most recent content I've created on my site. So you can choose, and if you want something different. So I'm going to change this to be recent adventures. It sounds a bit more exciting than just recent posts. And since my blog is heavily themed around wandering and finding new things, kind of adventurous goes with it. And then we can change the number of posts it's going to show. I'm not going to display the post date because I think recent posts kind of implies that it's going to be recent. And maybe if you only update your blog a couple times a month, that way you're not advertising that you're not writing every day or something like that. So it's still recent, but I like it. It looks a little bit cleaner that way to me, but you can choose to show the post date in the sidebar if you want. So that looks good to me. And I want to add that follow button under the recent post. So I can take this and drag it above there, and you can see it's reordering here in the sidebar. I don't have any recent posts, so there's nothing there yet, but if there were, then this follow button is going to show underneath it now. So this looks pretty good for my sidebar. And I want to come down here to footer 1, and at the bottom I want to add a couple things here for our footer. So let's add a couple widgets. I want to add some posts, so I'm going to come down here. Actually, let's add a search widget first. This is pretty cool. So if someone wants to search for a specific content, now you can see we have a footer that's been added to our site, and they can search for something specific that they want to read. So let's add another widget here, and we can do our top posts and pages. I think that's a good one to add for any blog. That way people can come and easily find your most popular content. So you can do it by likes or by views. So I'm going to leave it at the most popular views, and you can change it to either display as a text list of your most popular content, which I'll just scroll down here so we can view this, maybe an image grid, which isn't going to change this at all since we don't have any posts, or an image grid. So I'm going to leave that at the text option, so it'll just show the title of my content. And I think that's all I need in my footer for now, but maybe I'd want to come in here and look and see if there's any other kind of functionality I want to add. But I think you get the picture where you can really add all kinds of things here that's really cool. Music player, meta content, which is more for an admin user, so that's when that visibility would come into handy. You can show your Instagram photos, all kinds of things with a widget. They are awesome for adding functionality. So I'm going to click save to accept these changes, and we're going to see just one other way to add widgets to our page. That way it might be a little bit easier for you to do it this other way. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to press this X, which is how we leave this customization menu area. So if I press X, it's going to take us back to our main administration. We have this title bar back up here at the top. And if I hover over my name, I want to go back to my dashboard, which you can also come down here to widgets. I just want to show you how to get it through this main dashboard interface. So right under here, if you come down here to our appearance, it's going to be the third option down. If you remember, we changed our themes up here. This third option is going to take us to our widgets as well. So we have available widgets over here on the side, and it has a little bit more information displaying of the description of the widget. And what's cool about here is we have our different widget areas which I'll click on that button so we can see what's in our footer. We can do the same thing. We can drag it around and drop. And although we can't preview it, I think it's a bit easier here if you want to add things to our footer. So for example, if I don't want that sidebar and I wanted to add this to only my footer, I could drag and drop all these widgets to be on my footer instead, and it's going to automatically reflect those changes, which I'm going to leave it like this with my recent posts and my follow button and my sidebar. So now if I go back here, we can see we have all of our widgets and everything showing on our site. So that's just one really cool thing you can do with widgets. So now that we've added some widgets to our site and see what they can do for us, in our next lesson, we're going to start going into our posts and how we can add content to our blog.